8 minutes vanished from the official record. No explanation, no accountability, just silence. On the morning of July 17, 2009, satellites blinked, surveillance networks went dark, and an unexplained blackout rippled across every intelligence node in the Northern Hemisphere. The official story? Routine maintenance. But insiders whisper another truth, a terrifying one, that those missing minutes were deliberately erased by the CIA to hide an event that defied all logic, all science, and all human understanding. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is the blackout they never wanted us to remember. The origins of the so-called 8-minute blackout trace back to a high-security monitoring facility in Langley, Virginia. On July 17, 2009, at precisely 4:03:22 UTC, an alert sequence triggered across multiple CIA satellite terminals. Operators monitoring real-time signals noticed a rapid cascade failure. Encrypted channels, telemetry data, and geospatial mapping feeds dropped to zero within milliseconds. All systems simultaneously lost global signal coherence, something previously thought impossible without an extinction-level event. The blackouts extended beyond CIA assets. NSA listening stations, NORAD radar arrays, and even international allies reported anomalies. Time-stamped logs retrieved much later revealed a mysterious line entry repeated across several systems. Temporal sync lost, clock offset undefined. The initial assumption was a cyber attack, possibly from a hostile state actor. Emergency protocols were engaged, airspace momentarily restricted, and high-level CIA officers moved to subterranean command centers. But something didn't add up. Power grids remained unaffected. Civilian internet and communication lines were uninterrupted. Only black budget and classified surveillance infrastructure went dark. That's when suspicions turned inward. What could selectively disable intelligence systems globally without affecting the civilian world? The CIA's internal investigation, codenamed Project Vault, began digging through log archives and backup mirrors. But 8 minutes of system-wide data was simply gone. Not corrupted, not encrypted, missing. Physical servers showed zero signs of tampering. Moreover, atomic clock logs synced to GPS satellites revealed that not only data disappeared, but time itself appeared to have stuttered. Between 4:03 and 4:11 UTC, atomic timekeeping devices across key black sites showed irregular temporal spikes, with readings as though 8 minutes had passed in less than 4.3 seconds. In the days following, CIA analysts were pulled from other projects to work full-time on the anomaly. Most were told it was a new type of stealth attack, but a few, embedded deep within Directorate S, had seen something like this before. In 1981, during a classified experiment called Zero Frame, a temporal loop caused a digital blackout at a lab in Groom Lake. The anomaly then lasted 48 seconds, but post-analysis concluded that over 4 hours of subjective time had elapsed for the test subjects. The 8-minute blackout exhibited similar symptoms, only now it had happened on a global scale. Then came the footage. A recovered video snippet, blurred, fragmented, but intact, showed a field team conducting a surveillance sweep in a remote Arctic sector, moments before the blackout. The final seconds of the recording revealed a phenomenon in the sky, a rotating geometric distortion surrounded by waves of static light. The operative on camera shouted, "It's sinking! Pull back now!" before the image cut to black. The metadata showed a timestamp overlapping precisely with the start of the blackout. Theories emerged: accidental temporal resonance, quantum interference, or a breach between parallel dimensions. A scientific panel working under CIA oversight reviewed the footage. The term they used in their report was localized chronocollapse. The public never heard about it. The internal report was marked beyond top secret and sealed. But whispers began to circulate. One analyst, who later vanished under mysterious circumstances, claimed the blackout was not an accident, but a controlled test. The target, time itself. The weapon, a quantum displacement array, reverse-engineered from non-human technology. If the 8-minute blackout was a test, then the natural question is, what were they trying to achieve? And, perhaps more chilling, what did they succeed in doing? Following the incident, CIA behavioral observation units began tracking not external threats, but internal anomalies. Agents and analysts who had been on shift during the blackout began reporting episodes of disorientation, déjà vu, and in some cases, alternate memory sequences. One senior systems officer who handled post-incident debriefings noted that 3 separate operatives gave conflicting reports of the same event, each believing their version to be true. This wasn't a failure of memory. This was something else. Medical scans revealed subtle alterations in neurological patterns, especially within the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex. What's more, biometric data stored before the blackout didn't match post-blackout baselines for several individuals. Their DNA sequences remained intact, but microstructures in neuron connectivity had changed, as if they'd experienced divergent histories. One internal memo summarized it in chilling terms: cross-timeline contamination suspected. Project Vault was officially terminated in late 2010, but the work didn't stop. It evolved into a new directive under the codename Echo Mirror. This program operated outside traditional CIA command, using off-site contractors and private defense labs. Its mission, to contain the after-effects of the blackout and to determine whether the event had permanently altered baseline reality. Some reports suggested that key world events had shifted subtly post-2009. Stock market behavior, electoral patterns, even satellite imagery of certain geographic locations. The public didn't notice, but people inside the system did. By 2012, a specialized team within Echo Mirror began mapping something they called chronotopological scars, remnants of fractured time folds. They theorized that time, once broken, doesn't fully heal. Instead, it leaves behind echoes, persistent anomalies that cause events to jitter, loop, or reconfigure in small but impactful ways. Surveillance footage from military bases showed repeating sequences that shouldn't exist. A guard blinking 4 times in a row, identically over 90 minutes. Lights flickering in palindromic sequences. Objects appearing in one position and reappearing moments later without anyone touching them. One of the most disturbing developments occurred in 2013 when Echo Mirror flagged a former CIA linguistics specialist who had gone missing in 2008, 5 months before the blackout. He appeared suddenly at a secure checkpoint in Nevada, claiming to be returning from assignment. His biometric data was accurate. His clearance was still valid, but his field logs showed missions that never existed, locations that didn't appear on any map, and conversations with agents who had been dead for years. They ran every test imaginable. He passed them all. But one thing stood out. He remembered the blackout in vivid detail. He described what happened during those 8 minutes, something that no one else could recall. He claimed the world had stopped, not in the poetic sense, literally. Birds frozen midair, raindrops paused like glass beads, people immobile, eyes wide in mid-blink. And then a sound, deep, harmonic, alien, vibrating through everything. He said a door opened in the sky, and something watched. Echo Mirror's final internal memo in 2015 stated only this: phenomenon remains uncontainable. Further incursions expected. Operational silence recommended. The CIA has never acknowledged the 8-minute blackout, but traces of its aftermath are hidden in plain sight. Declassified satellite logs from 2009 show missing timestamps. Internal NSA audits referred to a systemic clock drift event with no assigned cause. FOIA requests regarding surveillance anomalies from that week have been denied en masse under national security exceptions. But those who continue to investigate, quietly, carefully, have pieced together fragments that suggest the blackout wasn't just a temporal anomaly. It was a warning. Throughout 2016 to 2022, multiple defense contractors filed patents for temporal stabilization frameworks, all referencing early research from Echo Mirror and Project Vault. The wording is vague: nonlinear event buffering, quantum phase realignment. But the implication is clear. Someone is still working on time correction, and they're no longer afraid of being seen. In 2019, a private satellite operated by an independent aerospace firm captured a strange phenomenon over the Pacific Ocean. The feed glitched for exactly 8 minutes. During that window, a circular pattern of ripples formed in the clouds, as if something massive but invisible had passed through. The footage was quietly pulled offline, but a group of open-source investigators archived it. Frame by frame, the shape resembled the distortion recorded in the 2009 Arctic footage. If this phenomenon is recurring, then the 8-minute blackout may have been a trial run or a breach point. What passed through that opening? And more importantly, did it ever leave? Recent whistleblower statements from former intelligence contractors suggest that Echo Mirror has shifted focus. It no longer studies external anomalies. It now monitors people, specifically individuals who were within secure zones during the blackout. Many of them have disappeared. Others report psychological disturbances, time slips, or haunting dreams of alternate lives. One researcher wrote, "I remember raising 2 daughters, but I only have one." If reality was fractured, just slightly, how would we ever know? Maybe the reason no one remembers the 8 minutes is because we were never meant to. Or maybe, just maybe, we weren't here when they happened.